Welcome everyone to the Triangles Meditation Group. Today is October 13th, 2025. Thank you for joining us today as we take this opportunity as a group to support and strengthen the planetary network of triangles. We welcome anyone who is new to this planetary service, and we hope you will consider reaching out to form a triangle by placing your name in the chat box. Triangles is a powerful opportunity and a vehicle for planetary transformation. It aids the shift in consciousness towards the light. As we work together to form triangles, we aid in transforming the etheric grid of the planet from a network of squares to one of triangles. And through this means we strengthen the birth of the planetary soul and the transition of the Earth becoming a sacred planet. All Triangles members use the Great Invocation each day in their work. And tomorrow, the Lucis Trust is happy to announce that we're releasing a new website dedicated to the Great Invocation. And it can be found at the URL www.greatinvocation.org. It's been translated into 8 languages, and it is geared towards introducing the invocation to the general public. We hope all of you will share it widely through your social media accounts and with friends in our united effort to make the Great Invocation more widely known, because it is our most powerful tool in evoking the reappearance of the Christ. After the opening visualization, we will hear from our guest speaker today, Maya Costley, a co-worker from Lucis Trust, New York. And the theme of the meeting today is availing ourselves of a great spiritual opportunity, a theme which underlies the whole intention of the Triangle's work. So let's now take a brief moment of silence, followed by a sounding of the noontime recollection. We know, O Lord of life and love, about the need. Touch our hearts anew with love, that we too may love and give. According to the wisdom teaching, we're living in the most amazing period in the entire history of humanity. There's been a decades-long intensification of light pouring into the human kingdom's mental body, coupled with the dramatic first-ray impulses emanating from the center Shambhala. This light has also been influenced by the shifts in the ray and astrological energies governing at this time. These combined energies have resulted in shifts within consciousness, as is reflected in the 4th stanza of the Great Invocation, which foresaw the plan of love and light working out through humanity. And so it is. The shifts have accelerated in this culminating year, surely as a result of the influx of energies from the conclave within hierarchy and the Shambhala impact which takes place in each 25th year of the century. In the midst of this intense influx of energies, the new group of world servers stands. It isn't necessarily easy to stand in such a place, but the need of hierarchy for dependable vessels behooves us all to do what we can to maintain the necessary equilibrium. The group bears the responsibility to stand together as a vehicle for the greater light of those great lives who stand behind all that transpires in the outer world. The inpouring light evokes the bonds of brotherhood within the group life, revealing the light that underlies the happenings of the time. Through the group, this light can irradiate the worlds. Nature teaches us that all things are cyclic in nature. The law of analogy is the central truth underlying the esoteric doctrines. As above, so below. It highlights the parallels between the subjective and the objective worlds. One such cycle which governs the new group of world servers is the festival week of the new group of world servers. Every 7 years from December 21st through the 28th, there's a powerful stimulation of the group life from a huge overshadowing constellation of the constellation Capricorn. And the next festival week will take place in 2026. The 7-year cycle of this festival week has a close correspondence to the cycles of the planet Uranus, which also has a 7-year cycle. And as we know, Uranus is the planet through which the incoming 7th ray expresses itself. And Uranus is also the exoteric ruler of the incoming sign of Aquarius, hence its powerful influence moving forward and the electrification of all things as a result. A complete cycle of Uranus, its movement through all 12 signs of the zodiac, takes 84 years, and there are powerful correspondences between these movements of 84 years. 84 years ago, at this time, we were moving towards, in December 1941, the U.S. entry into World War II after the Pearl Harbor attack. The following December, in 1942, also saw the festival week, period. And just as the upcoming festival week in 2026, that festival week in 1942 occurred during a period of the full moon, which we're told exponentially magnifies its potency. We can therefore see strong correspondences to that period and today. In October 1941, recognizing the importance of the time, the Tibetan asked his group of students to work together in the closest alignment from October 1941 to January 1942, a 3-month period. He asked them to call upon the forces of light due to the ferocity of the situation unfolding in the 3 worlds. And he gave out a brief alignment exercise, which he asked them to use first thing in the morning to strengthen the group's alignment. Because of the parallels between that time and this, the group might want to utilize this alignment in recognition of the need of this time for a collective vehicle through which the forces of light can irradiate our planet. This alignment can be found in the book, The Externalization of Hierarchy, on pages 315 to 316. And this alignment exercise is included in the transcript today. He also asked the group to read and reread, quoting him, the teaching on the avatars found in the same book on pages 285 to 313. So I just wanted to end with the mantric phrases he asks the group to end this daily alignment with, because I think they sum up the whole intention behind it. They read, "The joy of the divine self is my strength. The power of the spirit of man shall triumph. The forces of light do control the forces of evil. The work of the great ones must go on. The coming one is on the way. The avatar approaches. For this, we must prepare." So let us avail ourselves of the powerful opportunity of this lower interlude period of the spiritual year, bridging between the conclave and the 2026 festival week, to do what we can as a group to stand with the forces of light in aid in the work which we're called to do. So we move now into our visualization, reflections on the Great Invocation. Lincoln thought as a soul, as a point of love and light, with all those people throughout the world who are part of the Triangle's service work. Visualize the world's situation as best you can, and see people everywhere glowing with a dim light, and here and there points of brighter light, where men and women of spiritual intention and loving hearts are working for their fellow human beings. Visualize through the creative imagination the vivid light of the spiritual kingdom streaming towards humanity and slowly merging with the light which is already in humanity. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. Now ponder upon the reappearance of the coming world teacher and realize that no matter by what name he may be called in the many world religions, he's still the same great identity. Reflect and speculate upon the possible results of his appearance. Sound the second stanza of the Great Invocation. From the point of love within the heart of God, Let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. Now endeavor to concentrate your fixed intention to serve and to spread love in your surroundings. And realize that insofar as you can do these things, you're attempting to blend your personal will with the divine will. Now we sound the third stanza of the invocation. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. Now we just take a moment to dedicate the threefold group personality to the working out of the divine plan. Now we'd like to welcome Maya Cosley. Hello, Maya.
Sorry. Hello.
So go ahead, please.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'd like to present on the topic of availing ourselves of a great spiritual opportunity. There are many ways to view the need for greater harmony in the world. One way is in terms of greater cooperation amongst peoples and nations, such as through the work of the United Nations. Another way is through respect for other religions and paths to God, born of insight and understanding, such as through the World Parliament of Religions and the worldwide ecumenical movement. Yet another is through the sharing of knowledge between the world's scientists in their search for truth and in their effort to solve world problems. With triangles, a new way has also been offered to humanity, working more esoterically and subjectively, through the visualization of triangles of light that can revolutionize human consciousness and allow the newer kinds and forms of relationship within our planetary life to manifest and evolve it to meet world need. This new way of working is now possible because there are enough people on Earth who understand the power of the mind to alter consciousness and who are willing to utilize their minds in cooperation with others beyond all differences politically, religiously, and ideologically. This group is the hope for humanity and the externalization of the new group of world servers. As members of the new group of world servers, we are therefore being asked to work in this new way because it has the power to change the consciousness of humanity and usher in the Aquarian Age. This is also a demonstration of a new kind of consciousness and cooperation within the human kingdom that has not been seen before the testing of the Great War. This is a new level of human consciousness because it recognizes the free will of the individual to have his own beliefs and values and the right to live according to them. But it also recognizes the ability to work together with others for the greater good of humanity. At this time of great world conflict, when many ideologies are competing for power and control, the new group of world servers is demonstrating this new level of harmony and cooperation that can only be forged from a shared purpose and goals that rise above lesser ambitions, opinions, and beliefs. This is a great spiritual opportunity before us, and as the new group, we must avail ourselves of it for the sake and the future of humanity. The radical nature of the new group demands that we recognize and accept that our fellow group members may think very differently than we do about many things, including how to solve the world's problems. But it is through an inner urge and sense of soulful duty that the group is being called together to willingly work and realize our higher purpose and potential through the work of triangles. The work of triangles can be viewed as an effort to apply the occult science of directing energy and force to evolve human consciousness and override selfish human tendencies and allow the new Aquarian goals for humanity to precipitate. It can also be viewed as a demonstration of the soul of humanity itself being expressed through the new group, which is allowing this newer vision of humanity and the newer energies of the Aquarian Age to take root in human consciousness as we transition from the old age to the new. This new level of consciousness must be recognized and understood within our work in triangles, for when we start or participate in a new triangle, we do not know all that is in the hearts of our fellow triangle group members. We may think our group members share all of our beliefs and values politically or otherwise because they have found their way to the same group or are in the same school, but that would be misleading. Just as the new group has been forged from people of all religions, political views, and cultures, the Triangles group in its work is no different. But the existence of the group and its willingness to participate in this work together beyond all of these differences is expressing a new kind of consciousness, an Aquarian consciousness of goodwill, group consciousness, and right human relationship. We only know from the Triangles work we are doing together that we all seek to serve humanity and bring needed changes in consciousness to the world that will usher in an age of peace and plenty. In Triangles work, therefore, we work with others beyond our own beliefs to reach this higher level of consciousness and purpose together. When we do this, we are also growing the triangle's network from a deep esoteric place of unity that is beyond all human and man-made differences, and which reaches in consciousness to a place where true unity and harmony resides. We are told that new energies are coming in that will stimulate greater conflict in the world as humanity works to discriminate between the ideas of the past and those that will be needed to allow the newer and evolutionary changes to occur in the world so a new civilization can be born. As the new group of world servers, we are a vanguard to this future because we are voluntarily working out the conflicts within our own lives that are helping us to realize that which is needed to truly cooperate with each other. Through the fire and the rubble of our lives and group relationships, we are finding this vision and also holding it out to humanity through the work of triangles. In reality, we cannot know what the future will look like, born of the aspiration of millions of disciples all over the world who are working to bring the new world into manifestation. It may look very different from what we can conceive of it now with our individual and limited viewpoint. This is the challenge offered to us in group work, to learn to listen and to try to understand each other's points of view, which may be very different from our own. But through this forging and synthesis, a higher level consciousness will be achieved that will bring the wisdom of humanity up to a higher turn of the spiral and manifest the Aquarian age. Until then, much needs to be weighed, measured, and evaluated, and decisions need to be made about what ideas will carry us forward and what is of the past and needs to be discarded. This humanity will do as a group, led by those who are willing to do the work now within themselves and within their groups to pave the way forward in human consciousness. We therefore work in triangles together beyond our illusions and glamours about this possible future reality, so that God can work through us as a group. The power and the promise of the new group is that there are now enough of us on earth that can respond to the newer energies and understand the newer ways of working, that we have become a center or channel through which higher and more potent energies can now reach humanity. This also holds out the promise for humanity of the dissipation of these glamours and illusions. The thick fogs that cover the earth have been caused by countless millions of people over many millennia, but now we have the ability to use the collective power of the group mind to shine a searchlight onto the field of human consciousness and clear away that which is blocking the light of the group soul from being expressed in human consciousness. These glamours will continue to dissipate as a greater harmony is sought and realized by the new group and by humanity, so that the universal reality beyond them can be realized. It is through this impersonal willingness of the group to serve humanity that the Aquarian ideals of group consciousness are being born within human consciousness. This newer approach of working as a group must allow for fluid synthesis to arise, so that the greater unity and harmony of the group soul can be contacted and to express itself, so greater soulfulness can be achieved. The work of synthesizing and harmonizing differences between opposing ideas within the group is the work of the New Age. This is replacing the former Piscean ways of fanatical adherence to one's own set of ideals at the expense of greater group harmony, and represents God's will seeking manifestation. Harmonizing differences of thought within the group can be accomplished through finding points of synthesis and compromise that allow for greater cooperation to manifest in the short term, which can create building blocks or stepping stones towards a future greater harmony and unity. The ability to consider opposing viewpoints about how the group can work allows the universal truths which lie behind these viewpoints to be discovered and the harmony from their integration within the group to be realized. This science of group work is growing and can be seen manifesting in everything from the ideas of teams in the business world to sports teams and coalition building politically. Never in human history have we seen the growing idea for a need to work together in every context to create greater synthesis, cooperation, and collaboration in all aspects of human life, so that the best outcome for all concerned can be realized. Triangles is the esoteric component to this outer expression of cooperation. It is through the building of triangles of light that the pathway towards that light is possible in human consciousness. Triangles can also be seen as the introduction for the first time in human history of the mediating aspect of the human soul, which can help bridge between spirit and matter. It is through the soul that understanding and love forges a pathway forward and sees what is needed to bring form and matter together. Triangle's work is an expression of the soul of humanity, seeking to build the needed forms that the newer Aquarian energies can be expressed through. It must be reiterated that we are alive at a unique time and have a unique opportunity to be of service through the work of triangles. We have, through our conscious meditation and study, realized the need for this work and have a great opportunity to serve humanity in this way. There is a growing need to be a channel for the avatar of synthesis and the spirit of peace, and it is through this work that we can assist the Christ in his mission to bring peace and plenty to humanity by the evolution of human consciousness and the ushering in of the goals for the Aquarian age of goodwill, group consciousness, and right human relations. As working members of the new group of world servers, we are doing this first in our own lives and areas of service, but also through our willingness to cooperate together to build the lighted network of triangles that will allow these synthesizing and unifying energies to have the needed effect and take hold within the consciousness of the human kingdom. We are at a pivotal time in human history when humanity is needing to be released from the thraldom of matter so that we can realize our sacredness as a kingdom and as a planet. We can only do this by the achieving of a soulful consciousness that recognizes matter and the will of God, and it is through their right relationship, bringing the two closer together and achieving a new level of soulful consciousness and civilization. Through our work together in triangles, we can therefore avail ourselves of a great spiritual opportunity to hasten this potential future for our planet and for humanity.
Thank you so much, Maya. That was a very clear explication of both the work of the new group of world servers and more specifically of the aid which the triangles work can fulfill in that process. So now we've reached the time in our work together today when we can open up the dialogue to those of you who are participating online. You can share a comment or a question in the chat box, but it might be preferable if you raise your hand and express that comment or question. And while people are thinking of what they might want to contribute to the meeting, I just had a couple of questions, but honestly, you've answered them, but it might be that you have some other thoughts that come to mind that you might want to share. The challenge today, or one of the challenges, is that there are many forces in our world that are intentionally dividing people and nations one from the other. Whereas from the perspective of the new group of world servers, and more broadly, from the soul of humanity itself, we know that we are one life. And I know you've dealt with this in your talk, but one of the responsibilities of the new group is to be a uniting factor in our world. So do you have any additional points to share about how we can do this, knowing that we not only work objectively in our service work, but we also work with powerful spiritual tools? So how do you think, any other suggestions you can give whereby we can grow past the polarities, the divisions that are so strong at this time?
I think that's a great question, Kathy. It was interesting. I was rereading the triangle section in esoteric astrology, and the Tibetan was talking about that some of the effect of the triangles work is actually to precipitate a separation so that a greater unity can happen. Because, like I said in the talk about free will and the right to have your own thoughts and opinions, I think, one of the things about our time, and one of the important things that the new group is very much actively working towards, is freedom of speech and the ability to have one's own conscience without being controlled or manipulated by others. And I think towards a future synthesis, and this is something I've studied all of this life, how to be the right balance between the individual and the group. And I only think it's possible when people are very well integrated and strong individuals, but who also have a sense of cooperation and understand the higher truths, the higher goals that need to happen. And that's a process. And sometimes it means exhausting the lower self until, I see that happening a lot these days. Exhausting the lower self until what you thought you would get out of that becomes very hollow. And that's often when people discover their higher self or truth. I think the new group is a group of people doing that. And so therefore are building that collective soul. And it's always making a choice. Meditation is the technique that we're taught, and there's many different kinds of meditations, but at their root, they're all aligning the mind and the will with higher vision, higher purposes, higher truths. And we build that, one meditation at a time. We build that through the triangles work, one meditation at a time, and daily committing to that.
Thank you. Are there any hands raised?
Just two.
Okay.
Violet Filipowicz.
So Violet Filipowicz, could you unmute your microphone? Hello, Violet?
She's unmuted, but I don't hear her.
Maybe she didn't raise her hand. It was unintentional.
Violet, are you there or no? We can't hear you.
All right. Well, we'll come back to you later, perhaps. And who else?
Go to Ellie.
Ellie, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Love, congratulations on the website, first of all. And what a lovely talk. I wanted to concur with the idea of what I see happening, the precipitation of certain divisions. And I ran into some similar ideas to what I believe very recently, and a lot of good writing that's taking place right now as people analyze what's going on. We've had just in the United States, our country was founded on a couple of problems, the genocide of Native peoples and enslavement of Africans. And there are other things too, but the superiority complex, if you will, of a certain race or a holding separate of a certain race, is something, it's a shadow. And we try to bury the shadow, but the shadow will always rear its head. And I think, that's what's happening, that and on an individual and on a collective level, that anything that's not love or loving or rooted in love will try and hide, but it needs exposure in order to be healed. Because all those things, like the Course in Miracles would say, are a cry for help, those shadows when they do rear. So this really, it's like the sort of Edgar Casey would have called it the last stand, the replay, as he called it, of the sons of Belial versus the sons of the law of one. It was a very interesting perspective. So there's these tie-ins all over the place in esoteric and psychical literature and studies. So that's really spot on. The separation, and the people that play these roles, in their soul, there's a soul choice they've made to do these things. So one of the exercises I use, both individually again and on a collective basis, is the Ho'oponopono exercise, where we each acknowledge our role in where we are and what's happening either in our lives or around us. And anyway, it's powerful stuff. So I won't go on, but thank you all for what you do.
Thank you so much, Ellie. Maya, did you have any thoughts you might want to share on what Ellie shared?
Um, well, when she was talking about the shadow, I was just thinking, that just like an individual, a group collectively can go through an initiation. And we've been told in the Tibetan's work that humanity's working on the first initiation, which would be that turning away from the thraldom of matter and the first recognition of something beyond, that there is a soul, that there is a will that's higher than our own, like in the AA work, when people turn themselves over to a God or of their understanding higher than themselves. And obviously that is one of the most difficult things, to make that first transition. And so necessarily all of that which stands in the way, all of those attachments to form, are going to be, the shadow work that we have to do. But, the work that we're taught in, with the meditation work and the triangles, is that there's a power in numbers. We can do more collectively than individually, and that there's already a group that is doing that subjectively, whether we realize it or not. They were holding place so much so that we've become a center in the body of the planet that energies can be focused through. So we're hopefully, as people find their way to triangles, they join in that work. They join that group and add their weight to it.
Yeah, that's interesting points you've brought up, and Ellie. And I think it has a resonance with the sign of Gemini, which we're told is the third point of a triangle that each individual can partake of. Their sun sign and the opposite sign to their sun are brought together through the soul aspect of the sign of Gemini. And so if we think of what Gemini individuals and the sign itself is asking us to do, is to recognize our other self, to recognize that shadow aspect. And as you said, that's challenging, because the Tibetan tells us that in order to see our own glamour, our greatest glamour, is practically impossible. Others can see it within us, but it's somehow blocked from us. And so we're challenged to come under the influence of that soul as individuals, as groups, as nations, and to recognize that there is a shadow, and to the extent that we can do what we can to recognize it, which takes humility, then we can bring through that soul, that building energy, which can unite the pairs of opposites.
Yeah, I think we're in a time too when a lot of choices are being offered us, which direction we're going to go.
Yeah.
And individually, collectively, we've been warned too that there's time frames to these choices. We can't wait forever. So
Yeah, that's a good point. We have one more raised hand, and then we'll have to go into our final meditation.
Harold Burgess.
Harold,
Yes.
can you? Hi.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. I know my name in the chat is Harold Burgess, but I go by my middle name, Tony. I was a Army officer for 10 years and a diplomat, an American diplomat for 20 years. So I'm an addict and I'm addicted to international news. That's my addiction. And it's been disturbing to follow the actions of Israel and Russia and in the world, and that is to say, the United States response. And it can be quite depressing because I know we are supposed to be able to visualize a future uh, of love, harmony, and cooperation among nations. And but lately, when the number of nations that stood up and walked out when Netanyahu made his speech, and the map indicating the number of nations that are willing or already have recognized a Palestinian state, that shocked me, and it gave me great hope that nations that have come together and decided that the genocide is wrong, of course, and they're willing to stand up against it. To me, that's an indication that the thought process or the thinking of the world is going in the right direction instead of the wrong direction. And that gave me heart. So I'm a lot more hopeful now than I was 6 months ago. And that's what I wanted to tell you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, much is coming to light, and I think it will be increasingly the case. And as you say, that is uplifting, encouraging. So thank you, everyone, and thank you so much, Maya. And now we'll close our work with our triangles meditation. Energizing the planetary network. We come together as a group unity on the mental plane. We identify as a soul with the world group functioning through 3 planetary centers: London, Geneva, and New York. And we visualize this as a triangle of light. And now we extend identification through the soul of the new group of world servers to the hierarchy and to the Christ, the transcendent point of synthesis at the center of every triangle. And then we extend the alignment to the triangles of energy standing behind the Christ. And we identify the center Shambhala, the center of purpose and power. And we recognize the synthesis of three streams of cosmic energy within Shambhala, where the will of God is known. And we use the dedication. In the center of the will of God, I stand. Naught shall deflect my will from his. I implement that will by love. I turn towards the field of service. I, the triangle divine, work out that will within the square and serve my fellow men. Now let's visualize a network of lighted triangles underlying the entire outer world of physical life and events. And see the network, linking all triangle units and relating all points of light throughout the world. See the network relating the world of spiritual realities, the hierarchy, to the world of experience, humanity. And see the network acting as a channel of distribution within humanity for the spiritual energies pouring through the hierarchy. And now see the network transforming the planetary etheric vehicle to receive and circulate the energies of the soul and the triad. Will, love, light. Now we realize that the energies of light, love, and the will to good, evoked by all triangles workers, pulsating through the planetary network of triangles, and that they're having an inevitable effect within the three worlds of the mental, emotional, and etheric planes of human evolution, lifting human consciousness and helping to create the path of light for the feet of the Christ. Reflect on the purpose, function, and right development of the triangles network as an hierarchical activity. Blended with the group, stand with positive intent as a station of radiant light within the network of light and goodwill. Sound the adapted grid invocation, directing the triple energies through the triangles network and throughout the consciousness of humanity. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Thank you, everyone. And you can see from your screens that there's a new moon meditation meeting in New York on next Monday, October 20th, and in London on the 21st. And then we have a Goodwill meditation webinar on October 24th.
Daylight savings.
And the daylight savings time, 12 p.m. Whatever.
It's 1 hour earlier in Europe and the UK
Oh, okay.
because of daylight savings.
Okay.
Will have occurred there, but not yet in the US.
Yeah, we'll send out announcements about that. And then the Scorpio full moon occurs in New York on Tuesday, November 4th, Geneva on November 5th, and London also on November 5th. And next month we will be having online the Goodwill seminar, and you'll be receiving information about that. So we hope you can join us. It'll be in all three centers on November 15th. So we hope to see you there. Thank you again, and thank you all.